It hasn't even been 48 hours since Comrade Mamdani was elected. How did real estate agents stop answering calls from ringing phones? I already have so many clients looking for homes in Florida, said one of the most well-known agents in what's called luxury, meaning ultra-expensive real estate, that I just can't handle them all, even in a year. Dorogoy said, all my real estate deals in New York fell through at the same time. People pulled their money out. No one wants to invest in an obviously unprofitable business. But everyone wants to invest in Texas and Florida.
Some New York residents are considering moving away, calling it migration. Mamdani. The New York Post reports that real estate agents are getting a lot of calls. Luxury real estate agent Brian Serhant told the Post that his main job will once again be moving people from New York to Florida.
Based on the results, clients now plan to avoid investing in New York. It's no surprise that after he got the Democratic Party nomination, wealthy people and anyone with a stake in the city began looking for places to move. Florida, of course, has long been a well-trodden path. But what's much more concerning is the fact that people are actually walking away from deals. So people who are in the process of signing and buying an apartment or, maybe considering buying something in the future, they're walking away. Of course, Laura, the irony is that these are exactly the people he needs to pay for all these programs. What he wrote sounds like a cutback, right? Millions of dollars for gender reassignment surgeries for minors. And he really won't be able to do it if, as I think, people start gathering and leaving.
But it's not just taxes that scare city residents. Mamdani wants to reduce the number of police officers on the streets, which naturally will lead to a significant increase in crime, so to speak. I think even kids understand that when there are no police officers on the street, they don't go anywhere. What they call the tough guys aren't afraid, or they're less afraid.
So there will be robberies on the streets, homes will be robbed. It's like in Chicago, increasing murders, car thefts, rape will turn the city into a dump like what happened with Central Park in San Francisco, and that's really not surprising.
Why do woke politicians raise crime? No one wants to live or raise a family where crime is high. Nobody wants to see people using heroin on the streets when they're walking around New York. I've had that experience many times walking around New York. People smoke crack or inject themselves right on the streets. And of course, productive people don't want to be used like ATMs for the city government, which can't deliver on the promises it promotes. This decade is under Democratic control. Taxes keep going up, becoming more burdensome, but life isn't getting better. Life is becoming less affordable. People have noticed this.
And here, of course, it becomes clear that most voters in New York are not very smart people. Some of them are good at driving taxis, others know how to build bridges. They don't collapse, so I guess they're good at that. They know how to dance, some in ballet, some just in general. Some can do accounting, some better, some worse. Well, they can do it. But no one taught them how to think. Their parents couldn't, didn't know how. And schools and universities didn't want to. They had a different task. And New Yorkers, with reckless abandon, began to saw off the branch they were sitting on.
That's what smart people do. And it's no wonder. They're moving to Florida. They're moving to a place that rewards productivity, and most importantly, to a place that understands basic concepts, the fundamental principles of economics.
This is clearly becoming less common in New York. The leftist perspective on landlords is the best example.
And here's another clip with a man who is said to be a landlord, and he says he's moving to North Carolina.
Ivan, I heard your rent increased. Is that true? I knew what was coming.
Eli, you no longer need to pay Ivan rent. With the new mayor, everything, including the bus, is free. Ivan, everything is free, but you won't get rent. Is that okay?
Ivan, I agree.
I agree to sell and
To leave. Will you walk around? Yes. Where are you moving? Ivan, where are you moving? I'm moving to North Carolina.
You know, all this talk about landlords, the demonization of landlords is really the clearest example of the economic incompetence of these leftist thinkers. We need cheaper rent. Let's demonize landlords. Oh, let's tax those who own property. And then when your rent goes up, oh, why is my rent increasing? They use landlords as scapegoats, as a bogeyman. And now the idea is to stabilize rent, right? But when you stabilize rent, inflation rises. and the economy grows.
Landlords can't increase rent. They must keep it artificially low. If interest rates rise and their financing costs increase, they'll just have to take the losses. What do you think will happen?
They'll find themselves in a position where they can't justify investing money in real estate. That's how slums appear. That's how buildings that fall apart and aren't maintained come about. And of course, that's how supply decreases. If you remove the economic incentive for construction, you'll stall building. And when you have less housing supply, what happens? Rent goes up. They want to demonize the landlord, the landlord, the landlord. Housing has become unaffordable because of the government. Forget this scary idea that every landlord is a cartoon villain, and let's talk about the mechanics. To increase affordability, build more. Instead of stabilizing rent, focus on stabilizing and ensuring open permitting.
Remove the bureaucracy that stops construction.
Honestly, I think Mamdani himself knows how price controls ruin the right to current real estate trade. But after realizing that there are millions of idiots around, he decided to tell them something that, let's say, would fulfill their dream. It's called a freebie. To have a lot without giving anything in return, that's the dream. Just like that, here you go, do you want it? I do, for nothing. Are they so kind, good, smart, and tolerant over there? For example, they are not tolerant of dissent at all. We won't tolerate those so-called foreign thoughts of yours. But since he is their young demigod and promises them this, it means he will give it to them because they believed him. They believed Obama, for instance. He claimed electing him would make the oceans recede. I'm not making this up. That video still exists. They tried hard to erase it from the internet, but it was already grabbed, so to speak, and it's out there. He promises, so to speak. He said they wouldn't go upstairs. Yeah, I remember in the Noble Journal about Henry. So they were selling that kind of powder. So they went around villages and towns selling powder. And they said that the kerosene stoves they used to cook on there, the kerogas, the kerosene stove, I don't know exactly what that was, and that after using the food powder, it would never explode. And people bought it because, well, who knows? After all, it costs so little and it will never explode. They just forgot to mention that kerogases never explode at all. Well, really, they never explode, only with this powder. Without this powder, yes. And when Obama said that if you elect me, the oceans won't overflow their banks, it was the same story. That is, they wouldn't have overflowed anyway. But when he was elected, people had the feeling that somehow they took part in making sure the oceans didn't overflow. This is Danny's mom. It means he loves his fellow citizens so much that he'll make sure they get a lot of things. For nothing. Just like that. So what happens next? And then, as they used to tell me in my childhood, cat soup. Honestly, I never knew what that meant. I still don't know what soup is. I think I'll never find out. I hope I'll never find out with a cat. Why should we consider what happens next? He has Mom Danny now. Wonderful for all of them, too. They feel sweet, charming, and amazing, as if they've defeated injustice, capitalism, and all the world's evils. And that's it. That's all.
Now everything will be different. It's not just
people. The whole economy of New York seems to be leaving now that Mamdani Alpha is next.
Speaking of Mamdani, the Mamdani effect is in full swing, and nervous New Yorkers are turning Florida into a real estate hotspot again as they rush to flee south. Fox Business writes the following quote: "Pre-election anxiety in New York has turned into a real estate boom in South Florida, West Palm Beach, and Miami, surpassing New York as the world's fastest-growing wealth center." A Florida developer said his company signed contracts over $100 million with New York buyers. So what's happening?
Only in the past few months. I've heard it described as from Wall Street to Y'all Street. Jamie Morgan Chase, you mentioned them. Jamie Dimon, I heard your daughter mention them. Actually, they're hiring more people in Texas than in New York. So
that's also what's happening in the end.
Get your stuff ready. You better be in Florida by 6:30 in the morning. Damn.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Send it back. As a representative of the People's Republic of South Florida, blessed be our Lord, one day we will be free from tyranny. Tallahassee, North and South Florida are overcrowded. Don't send your disgraced New Yorkers. They're already coming. They're also heading to Jersey, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts. And now it's official policy that any Californian spotted in Florida will be shot on sight regardless of affiliation.
The guys are joking, of course, but people in Texas are shocked when Californians move there and then vote for the Democratic Party. That's why Florida says, if you spot Californians on the beaches, shoot them, please.
Please, stop sending us
Your trash after you lose.
The elections, please.
But the new mayor challenged the president, so
The first day when he challenged Donald Trump, he doesn't know who he's dealing with. I was disappointed. He talks a lot, he's charismatic, but so was Castro.
I was reluctantly grateful because he was simply the best of the three who didn't quite work out. I'm afraid for the future of the Democratic Party if this is the kind of liberalism that will take hold.
I think it's good for change. Maybe something will help with affordable housing.
It's disgraceful that a 34-year-old is running what is likely the world's most successful city, especially one built by Jewish immigrants and now considered the greatest city.
It's funny because when I was walking, I like to soak up the energy of the city, especially after such a big night. I feel like there's a calm energy right now, so I think there's hope.
they don't even know what they voted for.
I voted for him. I'm excited about the new energy in the city and the entire election.
They voted for energy.
The city, the country, the planet, full of idiots.
Any loudmouth can lead them anywhere, and they'll go straight off a cliff, shouting at the same time, "Hooray, Liberator, you set us free!" In New York, there are 3.7 million apartments. About 25% of them are rent stabilized. These are rent-stabilized apartments. The new mayor said he would freeze rent. That means rent will no longer increase in these apartments. So 25% of city residents got a rent freeze, but what about the remaining 75%? We're also taxing the rich, right? Landlords won't get away with it. They're wealthy, and their taxes and fees are all rising. They'll have to cover these costs. So while 25% of people in the city got a rent freeze, the other 75% are guaranteed to get a rent increase. I can't believe it. Buses will be chaotic and lawless. We don't punish crime here, and that's a problem.
Others fled from communist Cuba, and my mother lost her home, and Zakaran Mandani says we should abolish private property. My mother had a gas station, her small business. This man wants government-run supermarkets and rationed goods. He'll dictate our bread supply in New York. It's absurd, especially given our public safety problems. He'll kick out the police and push.
The Civilian Complaint Review Board, as the former chief just said, is completely biased. They will by no means be on the side of the police. The police won't get a fair trial. They'll lose their jobs, lose their positions for stopping dangerous criminals who claim to be victims when in reality they were trying to harm people or steal something. And then the police officer will be the one who pays for it?
It often takes significant effort. It's easier said than done if you expect the police department to only react and avoid risks. Remember a few years ago when someone poured water on a police officer's head and he just stood there? Do you want that again? No, because public safety is essential for this city, and we can't regress. It's a large city with 8 million people. Now that we've gone through bail reform and all these crazy things, we've somehow gotten it back by fighting. I don't know if we can get it back a second time. We already lack enough police officers, and he refuses to hire more. You need to listen closely to what he's saying.
So here's the thing. New York now has the lowest number of police officers since the 90s. There are 30,000 police officers now. That may seem like a lot since it's a big department, but we last had that many police officers in the 90s, and the population is now larger. And the criminal population has become completely brazen because of all these bail reform laws, releasing criminals and decriminalizing everything. So not only do you have a bigger population, but you also have more brazen criminals, and the police are completely overwhelmed. We now have the fewest police officers compared to the percentage of truly dangerous criminals. And if we're not going to hire more, if we're not going to try to double the police force, it's going to get really dangerous here.
We're already short 7,000 police officers here, so I'm worried about safety and quality of life. He even wants to legalize it. It's just outrageous what's going to happen, and it's going to depend on people like me, the only Republican in our city, and President Trump to hold them accountable, to try to do everything possible to stop this train from completely going off the rails.
How can you stop New York from committing suicide when a crowd of idiots, just a crowd of idiots, rushed for freebies and others for energy? That's what they told us, yes. It doesn't matter what kind of energy it is, fascist, communist, bullshit, vibins, or some kind of responsible demo socialist energy. We just want energy. And of course, sniff a little cocaine and everything will be just great. Well, for a few hours or possibly all night. 2 days have passed. Congratulations on your victory, Mamdani. Well, and other gubernatorial and ITP candidates from the Democratic Party and Trump wrote on Truth Social.
So, if our country doesn't wise up and start playing the way other countries do, everyone will lose. And I really don't understand what they're doing over there. I don't know why we want to go into the Thanksgiving travel season when all the airports aren't working. I mean, in another country, socialists don't celebrate Thanksgiving, right? They're ungrateful for all this. They don't care if the country's shut down and you can't have dinner or see your family. They don't care about any of that. So I think people should. And I think if Republicans really want to promote this accessibility agenda, it's in their hands. Accessibility is something that Republicans can absolutely talk about. Want to discuss affordable energy prices? They're trying to restore coal power plants, launch nuclear power plants. They're trying to deport people who shouldn't be in the country and are taking jobs that could be held by law-abiding citizens. I mean, the whole agenda that President Trump ran on is about affordability. But the problem is, we can't do anything about it unless we reform the way our government works and make it serve those who voted for it. What do you think about this? Thank you very much.
Thank you for watching.
Was Hash Jordan 1.5 million subscribers, about 50,000 views per hour. People love him, they listen to him, and millions agree with him. And here's my favorite, Stossel. So the video was made before the elections.
I will be your Democratic Party candidate for mayor of New York, and Zokran Mamdani will probably be my next mayor. He's popular. He got more votes in the primary than any other mayoral candidate in New York City's history. And people love him because he's attractive and charismatic.
Ruby is.
Ruby is. The media can't keep up.
And now I'm joined by Zokran Mamdani. They
also love him because he is a proud Democratic
socialist.
They and most of the media have something in common. You.
Do you like capitalism?
No, I have a lot of criticism of capitalism.
Usually, I don't cover local politics, but I'll make an exception for Mamdani because what he believes in is what many privileged young people believe in. And these socialist ideas are just silly.
Socialism, a state that provides everything necessary for its people to live a decent life.
We were just told from each according to his ability and to each according to what? According to his needs. Not a fist to the skull, but according to his needs. That's right, the government, not you, decides your needs. Interesting. The government decides your needs, not you. But it knows better, generally speaking, so to say, it knows better. Before Zokran decided to go into politics, he was more candid.
The main goal is to seize the means of production.
Seizure of the means of production means the government controls nearly everything. To provide housing for the poor, the government must take control of apartment buildings.
Whether it's abolishing private property or, just a government guarantee of housing, that's preferable to what's happening now.
By the way, these are quotes from Karl Marx, well, the one you know as Karl Marx.
But the abolition of private property has already been tried. Everywhere it was tried, state ownership destroys lives. This is what grocery stores sometimes look like in socialist Venezuela. However, Danny's mom says,
I will create a network of urban grocery stores whose mission is to lower prices, not raise them. These stores won't aim for profit and will pass the savings to you.
The lack of profit motivation attracts people, but it's the profit motivation that allows stores to stay stocked. That's why we spend less on food than 100 years ago and have more choices.
Hundreds of sales every week.
We have choices because capitalists have to compete to get your money. Compare your experience in your profit-driven store with
the dysfunction at the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Government services involve tedious bureaucracy.
And people say they are met with hours-long lines at the doors. I
don't want my grocery store run like that.
The shelves are empty. In a grocery store in East Kansas City that received millions of dollars from taxpayers.
Cities have tried to subsidize groceries, but the results are not impressive.
A foul odor seeps through the door and shelves everywhere need restocking.
I watched people enter
and go out.
Spain.
Nevertheless, Mom Danya promises
Stores owned by the city with guaranteed low prices.
even if Mom Danya's stores work better, they will cost taxpayers money and take customers away from businesses that pay taxes. How are you planning to come and disrupt our way of life? Mom Danya doesn't discuss how subsidies destroy private competition that pays taxes. He just says that socialism helps everyone by taking from the super rich. Do you think billionaires have the right to exist? I don't think we should have billionaires. Mom, Danya says he's going to fund his giveaways by taxing the rich, but wealth taxes never bring in the promised revenue. People don't work only to pay taxes. The economist Art Laffer is famous for pointing out that at a certain level, higher taxes stop bringing in more money because wealthy people try to avoid high taxes. They will change where they earn income, change how they earn it, change how much they earn when they receive income. They'll change all of that to minimize taxes. They will leave the United States. One billionaire once told me that if taxes go up in New York, wealthy people will just leave. You didn't leave. I haven't left yet. You're going to leave. It's a big story. If I leave, if I leave New York, that's a big story. In the end, he left. Rich people will leave and other people will leave, and you'll be left with a lot of people who don't produce, and that's a spiral. That's exactly the end of it. Europe abolished wealth taxes, millionaires simply left, and even if you don't like rich people, losing them means losing tax revenue and jobs. In America, it's even easier to leave your city or state. Millions have already done it, fleeing from places like California, New York, and Illinois. Sometimes Mom Danny knows this. We're talking about how our tax base is getting smaller and smaller every day as New York residents leave. Everyone will leave Dodge while this guy is here. It's crazy. It's not a new idea. Does Mom Danny know that his state has already tried to impose high taxes on the rich? They didn't work. We expected $4 billion but got much less. Maryland also tried this. It was expected to bring in $106 million, but instead, they lost $257 million unexpectedly. Oh, well, I'm surprised that no one should be surprised. They left. These people weren't stupid. Do Ma'am Danny's supporters think it will be different this time?
All these people with posters and without posters, with burning eyes and with dull eyes. They are absolute dumb idiots. They might be famous mathematicians, they might be chess geniuses and champions, university professors. They might stage plays at the Metropolitan Opera, but nevertheless, they are dumb idiots. Zokran, Putin, Mao Ceausescu, Kim Jong-un, and once again, Kim Jong-un. Because if you shout once, and before the boss stops shouting, you stop, then that's it. And not just you, your whole family, everyone. That's where the state is the helmsman. The party does everything for you, including throwing you covered in grease to hungry dogs. So you just live a happy life and keep quiet, or else we'll grease you up and throw you naked to the hungry dogs again. That's a favorite pastime in North Korea. So, on that optimistic note, let's wrap it up and say goodbye until next time. And if you like what I say and how I say it, I really need you to hit the bell, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Goodbye until we meet again.